Yeah, I think it's time to go. Good morning, my name is Jason Spindler. I'm going to, so this being the first meeting of the year, and I'm not yet having a president elected, I'm going to start the meeting, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Montgomery to lead us in prayer. Anybody that does not want to be present for the prayer, they can step out.
It's only going to be a minute, so. Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord God, we come to you today asking you to be with us during this meeting, Heavenly Father. I pray that, dear God, that you would touch each decision made, Heavenly Father, to bring praise and glory to you. And these things we pray in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I call for attendance by Mr. Watkins.
If you would, please respond with present. Commissioner Fleetwood. Present. Commissioner Key.
Present.
Commissioner Montgomery.
present.
Okay, next item on the agenda is nominations for president and vice president. Starting with the position of president, I would entertain any nominations for that position.
I nominate Warren Fleetwood for president.
Okay, I have a nomination. Do I have any other nominations?
I second.
I have a nomination and a second for Warren Fleetwood. Any other nominations for the office of president? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve electing Warren Fleetwood as president for the commissioners. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
Aye.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Fleetwood, you are officially the president for the commissioners. I'll turn it over to you for election of vice president.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for the nomination, and I also want to thank the county for putting me in this role. I hope everyone had a safe holiday and a healthy holiday, and I look forward to working for the county and doing the best we can to be a productive group of commissioners for you. So, thank you. I would like to make a nomination for vice president. I'd like to nominate Mary Key,
No, thank you.
vice president.
I turn it down.
Decline. In that case, I would like to nominate Kim Montgomery for vice president.
I'll accept it.
You have to have a second.
I will second that.
You're nominating him and Ken will accept, so will you
Yes.
second the
Yes.
motion or the
Yes.
nomination?
Yes.
And then can I have a motion to approve the nomination of Kim Montgomery as vice president? Do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to approve Kim Montgomery as our vice president of the commissioners.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to appoint Kim Montgomery as vice president of the commissioners. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Mr. Montgomery is vice president.
Moving on to approval of minutes from our previous meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion. Okay.
No, I have a question for Jason.
Yes, ma'am.
Since these are minutes from meeting when either one of these gentlemen were, commissioners.
I think the motion should come from you, but they can vote on it.
Okay, I'll make the motion because there's nothing wrong with minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion made in a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims. Do we have a motion to approve the claims?
Are we not going to read them?
No, ma'am, we'll be doing it in a lump sum.
That's the lump sum.
Do we have a motion to approve the claims?
Well, I reviewed them and I make a motion to approve them.
There's a motion to approve the claims as presented. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I I have a motion and a second to approve the claims. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Can we have a discussion? Can we have a discussion?
We can have discussion.
I would like to know why they're not being read and why the sum was not stated. We have always stated claims during our meetings.
Well, we could read them. If you want to make a motion to have them read,
We always read the amounts, not, you know, and have read lump
Right.
sum, but we've always read it.
you want to make a motion to that effect that they be read?
I would like that, yes. I'll make a motion that the claims be read as usual.
Okay. We have a motion to read the claims. Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to read the claims before approval, so we're going to resend the previous motion on the floor. All in favor of reading the claims indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it, so we will now read the claims. And
Okay. We'll start with the general. Okay, starting with the general, $60,176.55. Courts, $9,251.88. And just to give everyone a heads up, Mr. Watkins will have these available for you to sign at the very end of the meeting, so if you would, don't run off, stay close. For the sheriff, $34,962.77. ACH, $21,083.88. CAW one, $12,335.05. And Mr. Walker, do you have anything else? Yes. Token Conservancies, Examiner Records, $1,404. Very good. Okay, thank you, sir. Total payroll, $315,654.70. Thank you, Mr. Watkins, appreciate that. And just to expand a little bit upon that, we were wanting to approve the claims and sort of a move there to maybe avoid that, but we can take it up another time, so happy to oblige. Mary, any other discussion or any other further?
No, that's fine.
so we need to approve the claims then. Who made the motion originally?
You did, didn't you?
Okay, Mr.
I'll
Montgomery.
second.
And with a motion and a second on the floor to approve the claims as presented and read into the record. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
All right, next up on our agenda is appointments, and we had copies of those appointments made available to the public when you came in and to the media. I would ask at this time that you look over the appointments, and I'll ask for a motion to approve the appointments.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made, do I have a second? I'll second that. Any discussion?
Yes,
Mary?
okay. The change on, this is nothing against the individuals getting these posts, the county attorney, the highway supervisor, and the director of EMS. Those were decided, appointed, given the job, whatever, without any discussion from me or knowledge from me. I was not given notice by either one of the commissioners that this is being done. I just got it via the grapevine, and, I don't approve on how it was done. And, we've always, it's from the highway supervisor and the EMS director, we've, always done an interview, and that wasn't done, as far as I know. So, that's my discussion.
Ken, do you have anything you'd like to add? I'll ask for permission to approve the appointments at this time.
I make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Department reports?
He did not oppose.
All in opposition to the appointments as presented in the list, indicate by saying nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it 2-1.
Moving on to department reports, do we have any department heads here to discuss any,
No, no, back here. No, we have someone from the health department.
Okay, good.
Back there.
good morning?
I'm Judy with the health department. Our administrator couldn't be here, due to two very recent deaths in her immediate family due to COVID. So that's gonna bring up our next issue, that it's very important that everyone wears masks and social distance still. The vaccines are starting to come out, and we go by the state for the guidelines on that. So hopefully in the next week or two, we will get our first batch of them, and then we'll have to go by the guidelines. But our plan right now is to go to the fairgrounds, because that's where we're doing our testing, so we'll just kind of do it all together. And then we still are doing the screening at the courthouse, and we need to know if that needs to continue for us, or if someone else is gonna be doing that.
So the screening at the basement where you're checking temperatures, making sure people are masked up.
Yes. Do we need to continue doing that on our part, or,
I would say
I
so.
believe so.
okay? And we're asking to, once we get all the guidelines for the vaccines, they're gonna have a website, and you have to go in and make an appointment. So we're asking that no one just walks in for appointments, because it's gonna have to be, because it's a smaller area. Or not unless we go to the Toyota building, and that's still trying to be lined out. In December, we had 949 COVID positive tests in our county. And it's kind of, still on the rise, but we're hoping that once the vaccine gets here, that will take care of a lot of that. And it's real important that everybody, if, your group of people come, that if you're thinking about it, you need to go ahead and try to get that test done or the vaccine, because, we're not sure, but, it sounds like if you miss your group, you can't just say, oh, wait, I want to come with this group because I changed my mind. You'll have to wait till every group is done. And then if anything's left over, then that group can come back.
So are all of the vaccines for our county sent to you first, to the health department, and
Yes.
distributed to hospitals, et cetera? Or?
Well, now, we'll just get like, I think the first group for what we're gonna be doing is first responders and prior to elderly. The first responders can go ahead and go down to the hospitals, and they can go and get their first, round first. But that will be like, who, they'll tell us, and they'll only give us like maybe 100 or 200 vaccines, and then once those are gone, then we have to wait for our next batch to come in.
Question, question. Yes,
People, if you're in an age group, you've already had COVID, are you encouraging people to come get the vaccine anyway, or just not?
They are saying that you have like that 90-day protection, the antibiotic for it. So, that's kind of up in the air right now. And if you're within that period of time, just call the office and the nurses will be able to answer those questions for you.
Which vaccine's the most prevalent right now, or which one do we have readily available? Is it the Pfizer one or the Moderna or?
Right now, they're both, Deaconess is doing one and St. Mary's, or St. Vincent is doing one. I'm not sure which one is gonna be coming to our county, but I'm sure they're gonna kind of split them up. But whatever starts in your county, I think will stay in your county, because you have to like do your second dose of the same kind.
And those are how far apart would you use it?
I think Pfizer is, I think one's 3 weeks and one maybe 4 weeks or 2 to 3. Is that right? Yeah.
I thought there was a 21 days and 28 days.
Yeah, one is one way and one's the other.
Well, we appreciate all your work and efforts in educating the public and keeping Gibson County safe. We commend you for your work, for sure.
Well, thank you.
I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
So you're gonna continue testing out at the fairgrounds too?
Yes, yeah, we are.
That's where I went.
Yeah. I think they're doing like rapids for like the EMTs and, is that every week, David?
Well, that's what I heard they was gonna set up. Now, I've not heard if that's been, positively set up. That's what I heard was
Yeah.
they're gonna try to do.
Yeah. And I'm not, are they doing the sheriff's department too? Or are you guys doing that?
Right now, we're going to Evans.
Okay. You're welcome.
Thank you. Do we have any other department heads wishing to report today? Mr. Pond?
Since I'm new to this, I'm not sure. I've got a end of the month report. Is this appropriate time for that?
I believe so.
I'm sorry, like I said, I'm new to this, so.
No, it's,
Okay. Anyway, got the end of the month report and end of the year, I guess you'd say. For the end of the month, as far as December 2020, we had 430 runs, and there's a breakdown here that I can give you guys. Then as far as for the month, as far as the new collections, or new accounts, I'm sorry, is $306,054.40. What they collected out of that so far is $132,459.77. There's, it looks like, $247.72 of adjustments. I'm sorry, write-offs. And then as far as insurance adjustments, there was $52,170.09. Okay. Then as far as for the year, the total year to date, as far as billed, was $2,763,857.60. And total year to date that was collected was $1,250,414.69. Okay, and it looks like the percentage collected was 45.24% collected. I can tell who wants to
I can share with everyone.
Yeah. And then another thing I'd like to bring up is this appropriate time to go ahead and bring up something?
yeah, if you have a report.
Okay, well, what it is right now, for this last year, the girls in the office was telling me that they have not had a collection agency for over the last year to collect on, you see it was like 45-point-something% that was collected. There's a large percentage that is not collected and has not been wrote off. And anyway, we've had a collection agency in the past to follow this up and try to collect money. Well, there never, needless to say, there's several $1,000s that has not been collected, and they was suggesting that we try to get a collection agency like we've had in the past. They gave me some information here on an agency that they suggest would be one to look at. And in that, there's a thing that says, now who do I give this on to?
Give it a second, I'll take one.
And does Mike, do you want to?
Yeah.
Again, I'm sorry, but anyway, hopefully, if you guys would entertain, allowing them to get a collection agency, we could possibly bring in some more money than what we have at this point. there's a breakdown on one of the pages there, that shows
I want
what,
to ask you, how do they charge for their agency or for their work?
Might not
Is it on
come
a
up.
percentage or is it?
okay, yeah, it's in here. If I gave her papers, I didn't have one.
Okay. And that's it right
Yeah,
there?
that's it.
Okay.
Mr. Ron, this could probably, we could take this up at the next meeting, is that okay?
I guess, it's just, I just wanted to bring it up so that you guys could, at least look at it and see, because it's something that, again, would help if we were bringing some more money to the service.
Did you have somebody after Mrs. Moody, do you know?
I'm sorry?
Was there somebody after Mrs. Moody?
No, that's
That's the
ever
last
since
one.
January, and Mary, you probably know this as well as anybody, ever since, January, they haven't had it.
Yeah.
So there's been, a decent
And
amount of
then
money.
Jim and the girls that have been doing, referencing that
Yeah.
as far as collection agency, goes in that. So I'll make a motion to table this to our next
Thank you.
meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll table that to our next meeting.
And that's all I have, unless you guys have anything.
Now, we will need to write off the,
Motion to do the write-offs, which is $247.72, and I'll so move.
Got a motion to, remove the write-off. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Motion passed.
That's all I have, unless you guys
Is
have
that all,
anything.
David?
let's call that for a vote. All in favor of approving the write-offs indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The ayes have it, write-offs are approved.
That's all I have.
Everything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other department reports?
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Matt Holton, County Engineer. I just want to do a quick update of things we have going on the federal aid project. It's Bridge 74, the bridge directly adjacent to the wheel and covered bridge. It's a big structure, 9,800 foot long structure. Triple span bridge. We just start preliminary engineering on it. That project is federal aid 2024, 2025 construction. Community crossing grant, that's a big one for us, very successful historically and very beneficial. Originally, they were talking February 11th on applications being open for it. They haven't announced that yet. I talked to them about yesterday, and they're still looking for that date. 2021-1 or 2020-2, second letting kind of got pushed back last year because of COVID, and it's kind of still lagging now. So hopefully, still early this year, we can get that application out on community crossings. So that's the two big grants going on right now. So unless there's some questions for me, that'd be it for now.
Matt, when, I realize, fingers crossed, when do they hope to let us know about crossings?
Yesterday said that she knows there's internal conversation going on. I know 2020-2 is supposed to go out in July. I believe it was September before it actually was out. I don't expect it to be that long. I still expect hopefully by the end of February, we submit that grant. They know, just like we do, that in order to get work done this summer, we can't wait too long.
Yeah.
So it'll be very, very quick moving projects. So, on 2020-2, there were several, cities and towns in Gibson County that were, did receive funding for that. Owensville, Somerville, Muskogee, I know those three did. Hopefully, sooner the better for us, I know that. Because it usually takes a couple of months to get paperwork moving, so that way we can get the projects done in the summer, close out and start the next year. So, anything else?
I had a chance to look at Matt's road plan for the next 5 years or so, and really like what you're doing with the organization of our roads and trying to target those that are heavily traveled upon and need improvement. So keep up the good work in that regard.
Thank you. It's a lot of things change once the winter hits. We haven't had a bad winter for a while, when winters hit, depending on lots of factors, that plan does change. It's a moving target, but it's a good exercise to go through for sure to have a plan. So, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Sheriff Bottoms?
You guys got a copy of the monthly statistics from last year, the total there. And you also have a copy of the level 6 felonies that we're currently holding. The Gibson County Jail reports from yesterday, and that was printed. And our copy of our December inmate count. Daily average is 105. Today's count is 109, which is 93 actually in the jail, 16 over in the work release building. We've got 84 males and 25 females. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any other department reports?
John, are we online? Are we online?
Yes.
Can they hear us and can they respond?
The folks on the Zoom can.
Do we have anybody on there that wants,
As
that
far
department head needs to report?
Not that I see.
Okay.
If no other department reports, we'll move on to our next item, which is repealing the comprehensive land use planning ordinance, AKA zoning ordinance. And I'm going to turn this over to our council for this matter.
Yes, and we've got, Grant Schwarzenberger and Joshua Claymore who are here. You guys can hear me back there. They are someone. Hello. They're going to give us a brief presentation. Grant's going to kind of give us a history of what has happened. And we've got an ordinance for the commissioner's consideration after that.
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. Good morning, commissioners, and Happy New Year to you. My name is Grant Schwarzenberger, and I'm going to talk briefly about this, kind of give a timeline of why we're here and where we've been. And then I'm going to turn over to Josh to talk a bit more about the process and the details and what we are proposing today. A few years back, the county started working on their zoning ordinance, and I became involved in that, making various requests of the county relative to language and process. At that time, I was working with co-counsel, Mr. John Molitor, and that's been sort of stop and go for a couple of years. And then this summer, the commissioners passed a zoning ordinance. And at that time, we made our opinions clear that there were issues with the process and issues with the steps that have been taken. And shortly after the passage of that ordinance, myself and my co-counsel, John Molitor, we filed a lawsuit saying that there were defects in the process and that this was not a legitimate ordinance. Had quite a few discussions with past county attorney and the current county attorney, and also the council that was hired on behalf of the county to handle that zoning process. And that litigation is currently stayed because of the results of the elections and to allow the county to potentially implement their new policy objectives. Also, sadly, just before the election in November, my co-counsel passed away. Mr. John Molitor was an integral part of me participating in this action, and was just a phenomenal individual as well as a good attorney. And I would be remiss if I didn't say something good about him. At this point, we've spoken with a number of the attorneys, spoken with the commissioners, past and present, about our position on this particular issue. And our proposal is that we repeal the existing ordinance, the newly passed ordinance, and replace it with something that's more narrowly tailored for the objectives of the Gibson County residents and people. We have a process that Josh and I have been working on in conjunction with Mr. Spindler and in conjunction with Mr. McDonald prior to him, and had a lot of discussion. And we believe we have a process that would make sense for the county to, again, fit those new and more narrower policy objectives. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Josh to let him make a couple of points. Josh Claiborne is a friend and attorney at Jackson Kelly and works in the area of municipal law. And I think we've known each other for a number of years. We actually knew each other when we were in middle school. And so I'm going to turn it over to him to provide additional details about the process. Thank you.
Thanks, Grant. As Grant said, my name is Josh Claiborne. I'm an attorney with Jackson Kelly. We've got offices scattered throughout the U.S., but also in Evansville. Appreciate Jason and Grant allowing me to assist you guys, although I am a little upset they said I had to get the same haircut in order to help them out. I wasn't trying to.
You have a little too much on.
Oh, do I? Okay, I'll work on that. So I think Jason may have already distributed to you a draft of ordinance number 2021-01. And to outline the process, some of you may be aware, to pass a zoning ordinance, it can either start with the Advisory Plan Commission or it can start with you all. If it starts with the commissioners, with you all, it does need to be sent to the Advisory Plan Commission for their advice. That's in the name for that reason, for their advice. And then it comes back to you with either a favorable or unfavorable recommendation, or they can make no recommendation at all. But by statute, you do send it to them to get their recommendation. They have 60 days to hold a public hearing and provide that recommendation, and then it would come back to you all for your final approval and adoption. So today, ordinance number 2021-01 would be that first reading, that first vote, and assuming and if it gets a favorable vote from you all, then you'd send it on to them. As Grant referenced, I think the plan and the concern that we're aware of from the commissioners now and from the community is still concern over windmills and what kind of effect that might have on Doppler radar. And so we're continuing the discussion and drafting of an ordinance that would effectively require a license to build and install a windmill here in the county. And that license would be based primarily around safety concerns, and especially as it relates to Doppler radar, but also just general construction, et cetera. And so we expect to circulate that in the near future. And I think from a timing perspective, hope that it aligns that at the time you guys repeal this, about the same time you'd be prepared to enact and vote on a license to address windmills. But the matter for you all today is this ordinance number 2021-01. You'll see it's actually quite short, right? I mean, section 1 is where the meat of it is, that you're repealing the Gibson County Comprehensive Land Use Planning Zoning Ordinance. And then we've got some other various legalese that we need to include in legal documents as well. And then so page 2 would be you all's signature on the first passage. Page 3 then would be the Advisory Plan Commission's advice, whether they provide a recommendation or no recommendation, then it comes back to you. Are there any other questions for me or Grant?
Any questions by commissioners? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2021-01.
I make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any discussions pertaining to the proposed passage of this ordinance?
Well, obviously, as you all know, I'm not in favor of this. I believe we followed all the necessary steps according to all the codes and that. And I just want to make that statement. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I would, all in favor of passage of ordinance 2021-01 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Bye.
The ayes have it, 2-1. Okay, Mr. Fleetwood, back to you.
Okay, next item up on our agenda, thank you, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item up on our agenda is American Structure Point contract. And, I believe the current group that's been working on the jail, the county council has told them to cease work and to not continue billing. I would ask at this time that we entertain terminating the contract with American Structure Point Contracts.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion, do we have a second on that motion? I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Are there any discussions pertaining to the termination of the contract with American Structure Point?
Well, sorry to hear all the opposition, they've done a good job. My concern is what will this do with our legal action against our jail project, which is this attack. That's it.
Any other, and duly noted, any other discussion pertaining to termination of the contract? Having a motion and second on the floor, I'd ask for a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed indicate by saying nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, 2-1. Back to you, Mr. Fleetwood.
Steve Martin, believe he's gonna come to us via Zoom, to discuss the COVID grant.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning, Steve.
Morning. Thanks for having me this morning. I'm here with the Economic Development Coalition of Southwest Indiana. Also from my office on the line are Debbie Bennett-Steersman and Andy Zellers. But I've come to talk a little bit about the Office of Community and Rural Affairs COVID Phase 3 grant program. There are a couple potential projects the county could apply for. This program is competitive, and the maximum award is $250,000 with no local match requirement. Looking back just a hair, last year Gibson County applied for and was awarded $250,000 through Okra's Phase 2 grant program, and with that, the county was able to award 46 businesses a little over $5,000 apiece for operating costs and mitigation from losses or extra expenses caused due to COVID-19 requirements or shutdowns. With this Phase 3 that's in the works right now, very similar to Phase 2. And really what I'd like to know very soon is if this is something the county would like to apply for, and if so, which program. So I'll kind of go through here just a little bit and talk about the different programs quickly. But please note, with these programs, certain income limits do apply. Now, Gibson County as a whole does not fall into what Okra calls the low to moderate income threshold, where at least 51% of the county falls into this thing. So not all of these projects may be available to the county, but I'll highlight which ones are. But with this program, the activities that they'd put out there that could be possible would be to provide new or expanded mental health services, new or expanded childcare services, new or expanded public Wi-Fi locations, provide expanded food bank or pantry services, establish a subsistence payment program, or again, under economic development, provide the grants or loans to small businesses, which is what was done in Phase 2. Now, given the income requirements, really what Gibson County could look at doing is based on what's called limited clientele, where there are ways you have to track the beneficiaries of the grant and determine that overall as an aggregate that anyone assisted with this program, at least 51% of those meet these categories. So with those, it's possible to do new or expanded mental health services focused on domestic violence or abuse, and then provide expanded food bank or pantry services. And again, you have to take intake documents and really kind of watch that. And then also the grants to small businesses, pretty much the same way as what happened in Phase 2, where the employer, they calculate what the wages are that all the employees our low to moderate income employees. So that was a really quick rundown. So what we really know is maybe what the county, if they would like to apply for this again, and if so, has any idea which of these programs may want to apply.
Thank you, Steve. And we really appreciate what you've done for small business in our county. I know it's brought some funding to people that are in need at a very difficult, challenging time. So we extend our thanks for all your help. So Steve, if you would, just highlight again some of those key points, some of those areas that you think we should target or maybe on the table for some of the COVID money. You mentioned small business assistance.
Yes, yes. So these you could do with what's called limited clientele, and that just means that you're tracking these individuals. In this case, in the small business grant case, it's really focused on their employees and retaining low to moderate income employees, low to moderate income jobs. So the businesses would be required to fill out a form and report back the wages of these employees to show that they meet that at least 51% of their employees are low to moderate income earning individuals. That same intake kind of process would take place if you were to partner with, say, one of the things is provide expanded food bank or pantry services. If you wanted to partner with a food bank or food pantry there in Gibson County, that pantry would need to do intake documentation. I'm talking about the family's household size and their income, and ensure that any, say it's all used to purchase food, any food that is purchased with this grant money, at least 51% of those receiving that food fall into that category. And it'd be the same with the new or expanded mental health services focused on domestic violence or abuse. That's where I don't really understand. It gets a little tricky about what exactly people would want to report back as far as, identifying individuals. There's ways to do that where you can take some of that personal information out. But again, it'd be required to do that intake documentation where 51% of those would need to fall into that low to moderate income category. So really the top three, the newer expanded mental health services focused on domestic violence or abuse, provide expanded food bank or pantry services, or the providing grants to small businesses. There is a way, if you'll talk about it, want to try to do multiple projects, that is a possibility too. We would need to talk to our local community liaison for Okra. Her name is Lisa, and work through that.
Thank you, Steve. So we're kind of looking at potential for food pantry help, potential for domestic violence help, or maybe even small business. And as you mentioned, we could potentially group some of these together and make it a twofold type project. What kind of timeline do you have on needing to know something from our group? Is this something you'd like to have today, or something we can get back with you on in the very near future? Or?
Well, the proposals, unfortunately, this is a kind of a tight turnaround. The proposals are due January 29th, and then the applications are due February 25th, I believe, 26th. So really what could happen is if this is something that you'd be interested in applying for, you could go ahead and say, yes, that's what we want to do. And then if you could appoint like a point person to work toward this, we can work out the details on which exactly program to apply to.
Here in Princeton, we have the Salvation Army that helps out with folks when it comes to food pantry related types of services. We have the Lord's Pantry in Fort Branch. Fellow commissioners, anyone in attendance, do you know of any other pantries that I'm not thinking of?
There's one in East Gibson too.
We have one in East Gibson, apparently.
I think there's another one here in Princeton. They're by my office. I don't know the name of it, but I think that's what they're
churches are involved.
Several of our churches. Can these monies be used to assist pantries that are, for instance, like the Salvation Armies and, you know, maybe some that are even, you know, tied to, particular churches and whatnot, community organizations?
They can. They would be a subrecipient, and subrecipients need to be 501c3s.
This is Debbie. I do know that Oakland City is already looking at the East Gibson food pantry, doing an application for it. And if you're looking at Fort Branch or Princeton food pantries, the cities would have to be the applicants for those food pantries. We have to look at who the beneficiaries are and have to keep in mind that those beneficiaries are going to have to be documented in some fashion, or you have to make sure that the community that's applying is 51% automatically low to moderate income. So Fort Branch is not, and Princeton is not, but Oakland City is.
So for today, you're asking for a vote to proceed and appoint a point person.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Go ahead and vote on that, or is there any other questions or discussion?
I'll make the motion that we proceed with this.
Okay.
Right. The benefit for all, involved.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any additional discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Now we have a motion to appoint a point person to interact with Southwest Economic Regional Development.
Well, I've worked with them before and I'd be glad to volunteer to, work with them again.
I'll make that motion, make Mary, or have Mary do that for us.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion pertaining to the appointment of Mary as the point person? Hearing none, I ask for a motion to approve. I've got a motion to approve. Call for a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Is that all you need today?
Yes, thank you very much. I'll be reaching out with next steps to y'all.
Thanks for being available this morning, Steve, Benny.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to some, new business, meeting times for the,
Actually, Commissioner, I'm sorry, can we back up? I should have brought this up in the structure point. I would, after having a discussion with regarding this contract and hearing Commissioner Key's remarks, we do need to move forward with selecting a alternative vendor, considering the pending federal lawsuit and timelines imposed upon us through that federal lawsuit. I would recommend that a committee be formed, and it's my understanding that the committee would consist of the president of the commissioners. It would consist of Derek McGraw, who is a Gibson County council member, and then any additional members would be discussed after today's meeting. I'd be on that subcommittee as well. So any other members other than those three would be discussed among those three subcommittee members and be brought back before the commissioners at the next meeting. So if that is in fact what this body wants to do, I would need a motion to approve that proposed course of action, that being appointment of a subcommittee consisting of President Warren Fleetwood, myself, council member Derek McGraw. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and second. Any discussion pertaining to the proposed course of action?
Just that, I want to make sure that several more people are within this, one of the judges and then the sheriff, that I think some others that have been involved with this project in the past.
That makes sense.
Duly noted.
Noted. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, unanimous. How about you?
Okay, thank you. Commissioner, new business, meeting times for the upcoming meetings. We've listed there on the agenda and are posting it for the year. First Tuesday of the month, 4 or 5 o'clock. We'll have our drainage meeting at 5:30, our regular meeting. On the third Tuesday of the month, 5 o'clock PM, regular meeting. And we'd also like to just make a note about public comment. Public comment is encouraged. Citizens are required to request to be put on the agenda. We ask that you be put on the agenda prior to the meeting. 2 minutes will be allowed for comment. Citizens are also encouraged to email the representative and schedule times to discuss concerns. And I believe I can say with confidence that we are all here to be servants of the community and do our best to keep Gibson County prosperous and the envy of many. I believe those are my concluding remarks.
Did he say 5:30 on?
Five.
Mike is on.
I don't think that was a question. I think it was more of a
I
comment.
think it was a side, my one concern is the 2 different times in the evening. It becomes very confusing for people. When you have, the evening meetings, I understand why you're doing it because you do work all day. But I have a problem with having 5:30 one Tuesday and 5 o'clock the next Tuesday. It tends to get very confusing when you change meeting times.
Duly noted, and I may be one of those confused, I hope not, but
That's my concern, with that.
no, it's a legitimate concern. I hope we can maintain. The thinking there was we don't have the drainage board meeting on that third Tuesday, so we could start it just a little bit earlier, but I understand where you're going with that.
Any other business that the commissioners can bring up? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make that motion.
A motion by Gary, second.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Yes, have it. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you all.